senador na magtataguyod ng kapakanan nyo sa Senado. Walang iba, palakpakan po natin, Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos.
I have been given the subject to speak to you about today is how to organize our young leaders and how this important leadership conference is going to be of advantage to our young leaders in guiding them in their future life, not only in their public work, but also in their own private lives. One angle from which to understand today's theme is from the point of view of spotting or finding amongst our youth in our community those who have leadership potential and organizing them for relevant purposes of knowledge sharing and enhancement and capacity building in order to develop them to be effective leaders in their future careers. If you ask me, this Youth Leaders Summit organized by the Municipality of General Trias is definitely one effective and appropriate way for this noble objective. Now in its third year, the Youth Leaders Summit is set again to graduate a new batch of Caviteño youth with promising leadership potential, not only from General Trias, but also from Amadeo, Tanza, and the city of Trece Martires, all from the province of Cavite, which is known in our history to as home to our great leaders in our country. The opportunity provided by this Youth Leaders Summit is extremely important because it offers a venue for our youth leaders in this part of the country to be formally educated in leadership, not only as a career or profession, but as personal virtue. Here, our youth leaders are provided with a forum in which to actively listen to credible resource speakers and to interact with their peers regarding leadership experiences, best practices, and methods. I venture to state that the opportunity for formal education on how to be a good leader or how to hone one's leadership skills does not come very often. Kaya't napakapalad din yung lahat na dito sa inyo ay merong ganitong klaseng Youth Leadership Conference. Why do I say this? Dahil kadalasan is that the leadership training tends to be OJT, on-the-job training, or crash course. This is because even the opportunity to lead itself comes to us rather predictably, but sometimes even accidentally. Sometimes it may happen that we assume certain positions of leadership, but we don't even notice or realize it at all until much later on. In my case, I can certainly say that this is what happened. Family has indeed played a great part in my life as a political leader or public servant, having been born to parents who were both public servants all their life. Needless to say, my father, Ferdinand Marcos, was President of the Philippines. My mother is an incumbent district representative of Ilocos Norte, besides being a former legislator in the province of Leyte, a former Minister of Human Settlements, also formerly the Governor of Metro Manila. My elder sister, Amy, is the incumbent Governor of Ilocos Norte. Si Irene is not in politics. A leader of the family and the household and the work that she does also for young people in the field of arts and especially in music. So, in political parlance, masasabi natin, siguro wala siyang hinahawakang mataas na posisyon opisyal, ngunit she is the Speaker of her house. I can say with pride that our parents had really had trained and educated themselves in the virtue of leadership, which enabled them to excel in it, and in turn, pass them on to their children. Kaya naman po, ako ang inyong lingkod ay nagsisikap na palaging pagbutihin ang aking trabaho bilang isang senador at public servant. Itinuro ito sa akin ng aking mga magulang ang kahalagahan ng pagsisikap at pagbubuti ng kakayahan mamuno sa komunidad ng ating kapwa Pilipino. Kahit sa ating mga sariling bahay mismo, tayo rin ay may tumatayong bilang leader. Tayo ay may mga katungkulan sa ating mga sarili upang mapabuti ang ating mga kalusugan at ang ating kalagayan at estado sa sarili nating mga buhay. On the other hand, there is also an example of accidental leadership that happens in the early parts of our lives. Sa eskwelahan, sa classroom. Of course, oftentimes we elect our student leaders, particularly leaders. We elect classmates to important leadership positions in the class on the basis of their merits, characteristics, and attributes that make them fit for a given position. Ganito yung ating kuminsan mga binobotong class leader, class president, etc. Yung maganda magsulat, gawin natin sekretary yan. Yung medyo sisiga-siga o malakas ang boses, sergeant at arms. Yung ma-PR, PRO. Yung pinaka-pogi, escort. At yung pinakamaganda, muse. Alam niyo pa naman pala eh. Pagka naman matalino at maraming taglay at magagandang katangian, siya ay gagawing president. In my case, sabihin na lang natin na madalas ako nakakalal bilang magkasabay mga posisyon, hindi lang class president, kundi class escort din. Hindi. Ang kwento niyo mamaya naman, nakinig kami kay Senator Marcos, walang ginawa kundi itaas ang sarili niyang bangko. Tapos, hindi ba minsan nangyayari na bigla na lang nahahala ng isang kaklase dahil napagtripan lang ng mga pinapaklas? Sa reaction ninyo, mukhang nagawa na ninyo. Either kayong pinagtripan ninyo yung kaklase ninyo o kayong naging presidente dahil pinagtripan kayo ng kaklase ninyo. These situations of accidental leadership really happen in our daily lives. Talagang nangyayari ito. It is precisely for these reasons that this kind of leadership training is very important. In an organized leadership training session like this, the participants are provided with a conducive learning environment where they can be taught effective and tried and tested approaches, models and methods of leadership, actual experience of veteran leaders. This also provides a venue where they can interact and engage in knowledge sharing with their peers and their young fellow leaders. The ultimate objective is that new participants will undergo a process of self-assessment, mental distillation, and ultimately renewal and improvement in their own leadership styles. In the process, certain personality and character traits, methods, and techniques will either be imbibed or discarded depending on whether they are deemed useful and effective or counterproductive and detrimental. So, it is all to the purposes of leadership. Most important of all, ethical principles and standards can always be inculcated in participants. Ethical responsibility is an important topic in any leadership training because we have to remember, leadership always involves the notion of service, whether to the public or otherwise. Leadership implies. All these are essential to leadership. And in case the leader fails in the quest to achieve the desired goals and objectives, not only does he or she fail, but all of his followers fail as well. All these are essential to leadership because of the kindred concept and process of accountability. The leader is answerable to his or her followers in the community being led. Kapag ang ating mga leader ay hindi pinagbubutihan ang kanilang trabaho, mawawalan ng tiwala ng kanilang mga tagasunod. Kapag mangyari yun, maaaring mawala na rin tuluyan ang pagkakataon nila na mamuno. Sayang naman ang pagkakataon na ibinigay sa kanila. This purging and renewal process in the leadership relationship is, more often than not, a painful and sometimes excruciating exercise. But indeed, it is only natural, but necessary. Because in the end, what matters most is the welfare of the followers of the people being led and is protected, preserved, and perpetuated. Kaya naman, tunay na napakahalaga ang pagtitipon natin na ito. Habang maaga pa lamang, dapat ay hinuhubog na natin ang ating mga kabataan sa ating komunidad na may potensyal sa kakayahan na mamuno. Through this Youth Leaders Summit, the leadership of the municipality of General Trias makes a conscious and sustained effort to provide an enabling environment for emerging young leaders in the community to be trained and educated in the virtue of leadership, to ultimately improve and excel in their own leadership and management. In the process, our noble efforts will lead to the overall development and professionalization of our youth leadership, molding them into future leaders of our community and our nation, and ultimately contributing to our nation building. Since we have spoken about community leadership and the opportunity of molding young people into leadership roles so that they can be of benefit and of help to their communities, it brings us to this talk of what we in my committee of local government in the Senate is in the middle of crafting, and that is the Sangguniang Kabataan, or SK, which is the local body created for youth affairs. It was envisioned to be a kind of leadership from the ground level, for the youth and by the youth. Hand in hand with the National Youth Commission that serves as the policy-making body, the SK serves as both the sounding board and the first line of defense when it comes to matters specifically focused on the youth. I know the value and importance of these. That is why I am very active and heavily involved in the establishment and reform of these institutions. I was the author of the law that created the Philippine Youth Commission, and as author of the bill, as author of the bill, I am also now involved in reforming the SK. Dahil sa mga batikos ng ating sistema ng SK, nagkakaroon ngayon ng malawakang pag-uusap upang ito'y reformahin. In fact, you will recall that we had decided to postpone the scheduled SK elections in October 2013 to a date between October this year and February of next year. Of course, our deliberations in the Senate are enriched by the knowledge and experience shared with us by no less than our former youth leaders, both from the SK and its predecessor, the Kabataang Barangay. Asahan naman ninyo na gagawin natin lahat na ating makakaya upang may ayos agad itong ating SK at yung ating mga leader na mga kabataan. I state in the presence of our Caviteño youth that as an elected leader of our nation, it is my credo to always bear in mind and keep primordial the trust given to me, not only by the ones who have voted for me, but by entire Filipino people. In this leadership, the trust of the Filipino people is my North Star, my guide, my moral compass in maintaining my integrity and focus as a public servant. In going about the work that I have before me, it is in my consciousness that I will always strive for integrity to preserve, not to tarnish and undermine this trust given to me by the Filipino people. It is my solemn assurance to the Filipino people who have trusted me so that I may safely hope that they may be inspired into action and partner with me in improving our lives and those of our countrymen. It is because of this that it is important to provide a vision. If you do not have an idea, again, that will improve not only your community and improve the lives of the people around you, then there is no one who will follow you. If you do not have a passion to work for people that you may not even know, but because it is important to you, the betterment of the situation of people around you, then you are still a leader. Let me share with you a quote that is close to my heart and that confirms everything that I just spoke about here. And I quote, "No matter how strong and dedicated a leader may be, he must find root and strength amongst the people." Sinong nagsabi nito? These words have been uttered by no less than my father, President Ferdinand Marcos, whom I consider as my mentor, the big influence in my public service and leadership, and in both my vocation and in my family. I hope that you too will pick up the valuable lesson in leadership that is embodied in these few but profound words. Hanggang dito na lamang ako Tunay na isang malaking parangal ang makasama kayong lahat sa umagang ito. Mabuhay ang ating mga kabataan at mag-aaral. Mabuhay ang mga kabataang leader. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat at magandang umaga.